Though on his 70th year of the Communist Party rule, there was a huge military parade to celebrate the occasion. Approximately 15,000 troops, along with the tanks, missiles, and high-tech drones, paraded down the avenue of eternal peace. And Xi Jinping, president, with other Communist Party leaders, watched from the rostrum overlooking. And state media described this as the country's biggest ever military parade. Xi Jinping delivered in his speech invoked the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation, his grand vision of restoring the country's perceived past glory, and that he wants to achieve by 2035, and that is a Chinese dream. We are going to take a short break and we'll come back. We'll also talk about the growing Chinese hegemony in Asia, and particularly in Southeast Asia, South China Sea, and how the other countries are facing the threat after the short break. Welcome back. We are talking about China's Communist Party rule. The 1st of October 1949, Chairman Mao declared the day, and today China celebrating 70 years of Communist Party rule. This is important for China, as China is nursing an ambition to become world's #1 economy and establish its hegemony. The event was meant to extol China's journey from a poor nation to being the world's second largest economy. There was a huge military parade to celebrate the occasion. Approximately 15,000 troops took part in this parade, along with the tanks, missiles, and high-tech drones, which was paraded down in the avenue of the eternal peace. And President Xi Jinping and other senior Communist Party leaders watched from rostrum overlooking the parade. State media described this as the country's biggest ever military parade. Xi Jinping delivered speech invoking Chinese dream of national rejuvenation, his grand vision of restoring the country to perceived past glory. Xi Jinping also faces some clutches of challenges, as from the US trade war to months of unrest and democracy protest in Hong Kong. US trade war negotiations have been going on, and African swine fever has raged through the country's pig supply, and that has sent pork prices in China soaring. But the major headache is coming from Hong Kong, where the pro-democracy protests hit the streets early in a bid to grab the spotlight from Beijing, with a series of rallies against what they see as the erosion of their spatial freedom. Though Hong Kong police has warned these protesters have said that it could be very, very dangerous. So we're going to talk about that, how China's dream, and how the President Xi Jinping has described that no one can shake China. One more guest has joined me. Namrata Hasija has joined me from Taiwan. She is a research associate, CCAS. Very warm welcome to the show, Namrata. How do you see what Xi Jinping has said, that no one can shake China? He has also given a message to the protesters in Hong Kong, that the people of the China will work towards the reunification. President Xi Jinping wants to take China to its past glory. How do you make of his statement?
So Anurag, let me also take you back to the recent the white paper, the defense white paper that has been released by China in July 2019. I think that paper also clearly highlights the ambitions and the China dream that President Xi Jinping has outlined for China. So it is not only Hong Kong, but you also see that the continued problems that it is having with its neighbors, be it Japan, be it Taiwan, or be it Philippines, Vietnam, and also India, because we also need to focus on the statements that they have been saying. So in this defense white paper, they have very, very clearly said that the Doklam issue has been unresolved, and they are going to resolve the same. And also, I would like to draw your attention to an incident that happened on His Holiness Dalai Lama's birthday. So the Chinese officials actually entered into Demchok, and they stopped a few of Ladakhis who were celebrating His Holiness birthday, and they said they should not be celebrating the birthday. So along with, you see, the US-China trade war, and especially what is happening in Hong Kong. The Chinese media, the Chinese official media, has said that it is the handiwork of the foreign hostile powers, and they are not going to let them succeed. So I think despite all the pressure that Xi Jinping is facing, be it the US-China trade war, or be it Hong Kong, or be it internal pressure from China's slowing down economy, Xi Jinping and the Communist Party of China has made it very clear that they are not going to hold back on the China dream, on reunification of China. And especially in this defense white paper, they have said that China remains the only major power that has not been reunified, that has not seen unification. So I think yes.
When he says that the people of the China will work hard for the reunification of the China, and then that means reunification in terms of a complete accession of the Hong Kong, or probably the accession of the Taiwan as well. So what does it mean to the people who are living in Taiwan, and let's say the people who are living in Hong Kong?
See, complete reunification of course means Hong Kong, of course means Taiwan, but it does not only mean Hong Kong and Taiwan. It also means South China Sea. It also means it's East China Sea, where it is laying claims, which rival claims with Japan. So it means all these territories that, according to China, they lost during the unequal treaties, or during during the Qing dynasty. So when they say reunification, and when this defense paper says that it is the only major power that has not been reunified, they are talking about all their territorial claims, be it Hong Kong, Taiwan, be it with India, Japan, Philippines, Vietnam. So all these countries, all are these territorial claims. So yes, their first target, of course, would be to pacify, or whatever means they can use to derail all these protests that are happening in Hong Kong. Taiwan is also, the second most important place that Xi Jinping has always referred to. And they are not stopping here. That's what I'm saying. Look at the way the Chinese officials came in and they threatened the Indian nationals that they cannot, celebrate His Holiness Dalai Lama's birthday, because all these people who stay in Ladakh, they are actually followers of Tibetan Buddhism. This is the first time that it has happened. So it is not only that we should be, looking at what is happening in Hong Kong, or what, Xi Jinping is saying about Taiwan. We should always also look at what is happening with Japan, even though and also South China Sea, because in 2014, Xi Jinping actually said that they are not going to militarize the artificial islands that they are building, but they have not, stuck to the promise. They have.
If I ask you the final question about that, with the kind of messages coming from China, I mean, China is not going to change its attitude towards, let's say, its neighboring countries. How do you see the relation of the China and India in coming years?
I think, especially if they, because they have definitely mentioned Doklam issue, and the way they have also raised Kashmir issue at not only the UN, but they have also supported Pakistan on the Kashmir issue, and they have their foreign ministry also issued statement that Ladakh is an integral part of China. They call it Little Tibet. So I think the problems will be there, and I think we cannot ignore these things. We cannot ignore the statements. We cannot ignore officials entering our own territory and threatening our own nationals. So India and China, and of course China with other neighboring countries, as I said, be it Vietnam, Philippines, or Japan, they will have a tough time. These countries, and especially I think China is not ready to kind of mellow down in whatever territorial claims that they have. So I think we will have some bumps in our relationship with and some obstacles in our relationship. It's only if China, which it's not showing any sign of
slowing down,
leaving and territorial claims. So I think India needs to look out for its own, and kind of have a very strong and a foreign policy. And if China is not China is claiming its own territorial claims, and it claims almost be it South China Sea, East China Sea, be it India, they're claiming everywhere. So I think India should have a foreign policy, which it is having right now, of kind of holding its own ground.
Okay. So that may be a message to its neighboring countries, including India. Thank you very much, Namrata Hasija, for joining me from Taiwan. Namrata Hasija was talking to me that the kind of message Xi Jinping has said in his speech that no force can shake China, and that probably he wants to take China to pristine glory and the complete reunification, and that reunification comes for also what you call infringes the territorial claim of many countries, including India, as China has been saying about Tibet, about some part of the Ladakh, and especially Arunachal Pradesh, as we all know, and that will create problem with the China and India, the relation between the two countries are concerned. That's all we have in this edition of Public Forum. Thank you very much for watching.